4:22 p.m. as you can see on April 19, 2025. It's Saturday. It's the same day, and I'm at the same address, 408 West G Street in Ontario, California, where the sun has not gone anywhere, and neither has the engineered light that's around the same front door. And the fake sun has traveled as I took pictures at 11:21 a.m. The fake sun is in this position as I stand at this front door, and it's over the top of my head where the city of Ontario's crossing path gang stalking me in an aircraft. And the fake sun is now 5 hours later at the same exact apartment, not having gone anywhere. In other words, this is the supernatural feature regarding federal group stalking and monitoring, which is shown and proven and exhibited through the gang stalking conduct by the demons who are maintaining presence under an idle light source, where you're looking at what is engineered light that's illuminating the outside of the patio glass door, that is creating my shadow on the inside of the apartment. This is not sunlight. This is impossible light. And I also have multiple shadows. Here's a taller shadow. Here's the shorter shadow right here. I've got multiple shadows of my arm as well, of my hand. This is engineered light that fills the apartment. You can see the shadow of the furniture and the plant here. This is all impossible light, and this is concentrated. All right, this is where the entity is keeping the fake sun in the same exact location. You saw it, and that's a demon that already knows what I'm doing in the apartment. Engineered lights dragging on the ground. You know what they're doing, gang stalking, and that is an entity that is acting together. The Latino male gang stalker with the Ontario PD after 5 p.m. walking to and from his vehicle while he's monitoring, and that's what he's doing, gang stalking. Right now, 6GBB613, that's a predator who's also a sex offender monitoring my genitalia with such detail and knowledge about what I'm doing in the bathroom inside of this apartment under what is a fake sun. That's a psychopath. That psychopath is engaging in what is obsessive stalking in the parking lot, waiting for me, anticipating for me to come to this manner where they can maintain activity, driving in a parking lot where the sun is in the same location where it was at 11 o'clock in the morning. This Latino male is going to federal prison. He's gang stalking, which is what LAPD is doing in the same exact specific environment, not a natural environment. And he's doing so not having a helicopter. He's moving his heavyweight person around, which is creating light activity while he paces around, monitoring a woman very conveniently at an apartment complex where the fake sun remains over the same strip of sidewalk, where a bunch of demons are stalking together. Okay, so let me show you the fake sun. You see it through the patio glass door. Let me show you what he's gang stalking under. And this is what he's gang stalking under, and he knows what I'm saying inside of the apartment, and he represents the entity. That's why he is going to federal prison, but he's also doing so the same thing where helicopter activity is sharing his engagement in the elements of monitoring. That's a sex offender. And that's also a psychopath that doesn't look at you while stalking you, that doesn't address you, doesn't have to talk to you while they're stalking you and monitoring everything that's happening in an apartment where the fake sun is not at the same time. Contrary to what I'm documenting, what you're going to look at now and listen to is the pattern of conduct in Los Angeles, where the sun is not at the same time over the top of my head while I'm at my office. At Alvarado Gardens at the same exact time, which I documented at 4:20 p.m., where a Latino male gang stalking using a vehicle as a means of crossing path, which is creating light activity with simultaneity to what I'm doing, coming to the patio blinds. Stalkers waiting until the moment that I come in a manner in order to cross paths with me and get in their vehicle, get out of their vehicle and walk to their apartment, which is their means whereby they're engaging in the elements of monitoring and wanting to appear as though it's normal conduct that's coincidentally happening. That is gang stalking, and it is the conduct of those who are psychopaths and who are also perpetual sex offenders. While you're looking at my shadow on the inside of the apartment, that's how you're understanding the deliberate conduct of what is facilitation of demons in an environment. And those psychopaths are going to prison and mental asylums. It is what everybody in these units here, because you're going to listen to what LAPD is doing with the people that stayed at Alvarado Gardens, and that's why everybody in this building and everybody in this building is going to prison. Okay? He's walking back out, pacing. Another demon, same POC, 6GBB673 under the fake sun, because this is what LAPD is doing. Going to prison. Okay? POC. That is the pattern of conduct, and this is what LAPD is doing at the same exact time, being a sex offender and being a demon-possessed gang stalker, using helicopters, gang stalking with the people of the state who are going to prison, like I documented at Alvarado Gardens, like is the case at Woodside Senior Apartments. This is impunity, not unloading things out of your vehicle. It's activity creation, and obsessively doing so, maintaining ongoing monitoring as I walk in and out of the apartment, and also as I walk inside of the apartment. Everything that you hear is activity under a fake sun, okay? It's activity under a fake sun. So I want you to see this, because the sound of a seesaw is monitoring by a demon that knows when my panties are down and also knows what I'm stating and knows about my physical movement. And that's the city of Ontario's gang stalking. It is the removal of Paul Leon, who was a demon-possessed, sexually violent, psychopathic gang stalking mayor. And no one is going to remain in public office having that atrocious resume, which is proven by the federal group stalking and monitoring underway by the city of Ontario and the people of the state in the city of Ontario. This is what is shared, however, amongst the people of the state in Los Angeles and the people of the state in Ontario, while you're looking at that P.O.C., which is what I documented.
This is LAPD that's flying over that demonic light that you see in my office. These are demons flying a helicopter under the light source that's over me, all right, at 1810 North Alvarado Street, and they're continuously doing so. This is why I'm telling you that they're wearing diapers. They never cease and never take a break. There is no time to go to the bathroom as often as they, and as long as they are stalking me. They must be wearing diapers, okay? I want to be clear. It is currently 4:21 p.m. and they are obsessively stalking. There is nothing comical about it. The people of the state are going to be sitting in federal prison. Everybody that, all 50...
In license 6G-BB-673, he is going to federal prison. He's gang stalking even while documentation about his domestic terrorism and psychological torture as a way of life, gang stalking by residents at the facilitating venue while I'm documenting his terrorism. He is repeatedly engaging and monitoring in real time with knowledge of the fact this is somebody that's also engaged in federal stalking. That's why he's going to federal prison. Okay, and so is everyone in units 33 through 64. This is impunity that's also being documented along with the criminal pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring. The entity is using the vehicles on his old bucket, license 6GBB673, sounds the alarm, which creates light activity while that hostile, demon-possessed, sex-offending group stalker knows that I just read his license plate again. That's a very heavily documented tactic by demons who know that they're being documented. They're going to prison, and so that's the hollow victory of monitoring the federal prosecutor. Under what is the fake sun, where LAPD is engaging in the same thing that Mike Lorenz and Paul Leon, such that Karen Bass and Dominic Choi are engaging in the specific environment. They're not ignorant. They are sharing that criminal pattern of conduct, and the demon-possessed population are going to prison and mental asylums for it. All right, and this is what I'm talking about on this day at the same time at 4:20.
59 units as I submit tons and tons of video documentation establishing their criminal facilitation of the state's criminal pattern of conduct. That's why the light source is over me at 4:21 p.m. and not over the parking lot of the Stater Brothers at San Antonio Hope Boulevard. That's why it's not over the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. At the same time, that's why it's not over the Fontana Lewis Library, as the documentation also shows. That's why it's not remaining over 215 East C Street. None of that is the...
And remember the significance of what I'm stating in the natural environment. It is not over, like I'm showing you, through Tracy Banks's patio glass door, the same apartment, in other words, that is less than 600 square feet, where I'm merely pointing my camera north above my head to get the fake sun at 11:21. And as I merely pointed to the direction east at the same exact address, having gone nowhere, and I'm capturing the same occurrence, which is a supernatural one, because that means Florida never had a sun in their sky space. If the one sun that is exclusive, that also has the ability to create my shadow above my head on the inside of the apartment and create sunlight on the ceiling inside of this apartment and keep stationary light framing the front door of this apartment, and sunlight so powerful that shoots horizontally through the peephole of the front door at this apartment, where the sun is also documented rising and setting, that is never moving from this apartment, where license 6GBB673 is clearly engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring, stalking a woman while gang stalking by residents, and also doing so while that woman is documenting the fact that he is stalking her with the intent to commit murder and sexually violate her. That level of impunity is speaking to what is impossible. Not the fact that it's not happening. Clearly it's happening. I documented it. It's supernatural, however, that it's happening. That is the fake sun. That is the specific environment. That is the crime scene where criminal surveillance by the government is underway, and it uses the unemployed, the overweight, gang stalkers at Woodside Senior Apartments that are both unemployed and engage in what is getting in and out of their vehicles. This is the pivotal point in their day, pacing back and forth like psychopaths that they are to their vehicles from the parking lot in order to monitor me. They're monitoring the evidence that's going to be submitted against these sex offenders individually and collectively in federal court. And every single last one, Linda Reyes, every other employee, every gang stalker, all 144 units going to be prosecuted with the impunity exhibited by this demon, this sex offender, this creeper stalking in the parking lot, waiting for the pivotal moment to cross path by sitting in the middle of the parking lot and then driving into the parking space that's not coincidentally in perfect alignment with me, getting out the vehicle, which is the means of nothing other than pacing under the fake sun, where engineer light, not sunlight, is what's covering everything. Monitoring. Stalkers, okay? That's what's speaking to when I'm talking about the sun not being, because there is only one sun and it could not naturally be the case, especially while it's documented again sitting at one apartment. That's the P.O.C. that's also underway in Los Angeles.
shared sky space, nor can you fly next to the sun and avoid being burnt up in the sky, nor is the sun ever rising and setting at one address. Nor does sunlight create any smoke, rectangular shape of appearing to like smoke on the wall, but it's showing your reflection, creating multiple shadows. That's not sunlight either. All right, this is the environment that demons are affiliated with law enforcement agencies are doing, and it's the provision of evidence to people, because the people are here and they are again surrounded with what is evidence and showing what is impunity. This is an underage demon engaged in stalking, covering up her face because she knows that she's on camera. And this is all, let me be clear, impunity shown by an underage man, and they know exactly what they're doing. That ongoing malice is still there, light activity, relevant positioning, and engaging with a stalking by walking under the light source and engineered light, and doing so when
That's exactly what license 6GBB673 is doing, sitting in the parking lot in the vehicle and waiting until the moment that I walk toward the patio glass door. They're doing the same thing while I remain on the couch, pacing all around. As I move around, especially as I have my communication device and document, this is the demons that want to appear as though they're going about their business while crossing a path, light activity, audible activity is underway. That's a psychopath that wants to appear like they're not gang stalking in an obsessive and psychotic manner. That level of malice, in other words, is what is going to be used to both diagnose and criminally prosecute. There is nothing coincidental. The deliberate and intentional purpose of the entire system is shown through that specific environment. You're not ever, in other words, forgetting the fact that my shadow is appearing above my head while you see someone feet away from me in that same exact environment. Understanding how gang stalking is underway and understanding everything that the demons who are obsessively consumed with now what is evidence. So not only are they anticipating my movements, they're anticipating evidence that I'm going to use to juxtapose their sexual appetite for violence, their mental illness, their psychopathic appetite for gang stalking in the first place. This is aware of the video that's captured at 4:21 p.m. And as I refer to it, as I access it on YouTube, monitoring everything on my communication device, already having a demon in position, sitting there stalking in the middle of the parking lot and waiting until the moment that I open the patio glass door to drive into that parking space, get out of the vehicle, pace around it, and walk back to the apartment, and then walk back to the vehicle to get out the Bud Light and walk back to the apartment. That's a demon. Those are demons that are pacing. Okay, and they're pacing under a mutually exclusive environment, which LAPD shares. And this demon that is under the age of 18 is engaging in the same exact pattern of conduct. The entity that is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, which is the government, is engaging in that which is inherently corrupting the youth. They are fully engaged in federal stalking. All the teenagers that have cell phones, they are engaging in what is pacing around, monitoring adults, terrorizing adults, psychologically torturing adults, and they do so while in the custody of gang stalkers themselves over 18. That's also why you're going to prison, as I've documented it. The entity is doing so with knowledge that they're being documented. This is what this minor age third party is doing. And she is heavily documented in the custody of Susana Martinez, or at least in the custody of Susana Martinez's minor children at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles. Susana Martinez has not escaped any sort of prosecution. She is being used to juxtapose what the entire population is doing in the state of California, gang stalking, including with children. Susana Martinez's day in federal court has not expired. There's no statute of limitations. She's going to federal prison. Like I said, when this teenager is gang stalking with her kids and while she is in custody of them and facilitating it by living at a crime scene.
When their parents should be taking them somewhere and throwing holy water on them, because that is sad. All right, this is group stalking by the demon-possessed law enforcement agency. They're acting together, and the people of the state are going to be prosecuted amongst being engaged in criminal surveillance. Inherent, embedded in that offense, the people at the state that live at Alvarado Gardens are going to be prosecuted for engaging in what is systematic contribution to the delinquency of minors, because they live at the crime scene where a series of ongoing federal offenses are systematic. Engaging in terrorism with the same law enforcement agency demons. They're under the light source that's remaining over Alvarado Gardens, and those under the age of majority engaging in what is the pathetic act of emptying the trash, and that's how a demon-possessed group stalker is monitoring you. All right, and that's an underage minion. That's sad.
All right, so the convenience of gang stalking in the specific environment, pacing back and forth by walking from the apartment, crossing paths with me, creating light activity while my voice is literally the audible activity. They do that both while sharing in the elements of monitoring and in the course of documentation by plane and helicopter. They do it while the entity is documenting, and the same elements with or without the state sharing in those elements of monitoring. The state is always sharing in the elements. The state is always present vicariously. The state is always present inconspicuously. The state is always present engaging in those elements of monitoring, creating light activity. conspicuously and inconspicuously. The state that arrives on my video documentation, on my podcast, by amplified noise, you see the planes, you see the helicopters, you see the police, fire, and ambulance. Those are the ones that are going to prison, and that's the entity acting conspicuously, sharing in the elements of monitoring. It is state action while a teenager under the age of majority crosses path, pacing, walking to and from the dumpster. That's what the demon at Woodside Senior Apartments, under the same exact circumstances, which is a supernatural phenomenon that is documented as a means of recognizing a pattern, a supernatural pattern, which is also speaking to severe mental instability. And it's literally disturbing that minor children are engaging in this antisocial and psychopathic conduct, which is serving to terrorize and psychologically torture another person, which they intentionally do with knowledge. They even have been taught to and derive their own pleasure from it. I've documented underage minions engaging in what is harassment, engaging in finding satisfaction and enjoyment in the gang stalking system, which the government is engaging in the ongoing contribution to the delinquency of minors as a statewide pattern of conduct. This is why the governor is unfit to be in office. Understand that. This is the entity that is gang stalking as parents, as politicians, as those that are a part of the law enforcement while gang stalking with minors. It is literally antithetical to what the demons want you to know that they're actually about. Okay. They're about all manner of gang stalking. That's why LAPD is engaging in this on video, like I documented today. I'm trying to zoom out. That's what you're looking at. I want you to see again. I'm going to finish the rest of this video so you can hear the analysis. But I wanted to juxtapose with what is the remaining presence of the light source. This is what you saw this morning at Woodside today. The light source never went anywhere. This is where it began as I woke up at 11. And it has not deviated. It hasn't gone anywhere. It stayed over the same strip of sidewalk where it is right now. And this is where the city of Ontario at 11:22 a.m. This is where the city of Ontario is gang stalking like LAPD is over my head, where the fake sun is over my head, and doing so while it remains. This is at 11:22 a.m. The entity is keeping the fake sun in the same position. 2 hours later at 1:01 p.m. The fake sun has not gone anywhere. There is also no sun in a natural environment in Florida, in New York, in Mississippi, in Nevada, in Northern California over Eric Spencer in Oakland, California. There is no natural environment. He is gang stalking his own relative. He's going to federal prison. He's gang stalking me while LAPD is terrorizing me and psychologically torturing me in Los Angeles. Eric Spencer is going to federal prison. He is fully engaged in and sought to profit from my demise, which is a demon-possessed gang stalker that I'm merely blood related to. He is going to federal prison. As sure as I am documenting 6GBB 673 gang stalking me with that ongoing impunity, Eric Corey Spencer is going to federal prison. That is the inevitable demise of those that are in your family that are gang stalking. They are harming each other while they first sought out to conspire against an American citizen in furtherance of murder and theft and criminal defamation. And now that very population is serving for the prison term of Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks and everybody else in units 33 through 64. They are entirely being prosecuted, but let's not forget who's going to prison. Those whose name I know. This is Eric Spencer's criminal pattern of conduct, gang stalking his own sister. If you can't fathom that, you need to understand that this is the work of Satan, this demon possession. Okay? The entity is keeping the fake sun. As you see at 1 o'clock, you can see it reflecting off of the vehicle in the same parking lot at 2:45 p.m. And you can see it while demons are the same population crossing a path while I'm in use of my communication device. The sun did not go anywhere. You see it over the same strip of sidewalk at 2:46 as I walk out and show you as I walk outside of the front door and compare it to the impossible light that's appearing on the inside light, shooting in the middle of the air, creating my shadow on the wall in the depths of the living room, while the patio glass door, that's a covered patio outside, that's all manner of impossible light, while the sun is on the same day over me in Los Angeles where LAPD is gang stalking in an environment that's readily identifiable. That's significant about regarding what, again, 6GBB 673 is doing with knowledge. Deliberately engaged, very calculated, and also very psychotic and sexually perverted. That sex offender that doesn't mind engaging in showing the federal court how much of a sex offender, how much of a predator, how much of a stalker he is and intends to continue to be. That's why he's going to prison. And the gang stalking police, gang stalking mayors rely on it. They rely on it. This is what LAPD is gang stalking me, the circumstances that LAPD is gang stalking me under. While you're looking at impossible light activity inside of this apartment in Ontario, you're understanding it's no product of sunlight that's in the same position in Los Angeles outside of my office, where the address that you're looking at 6:20 p.m. is 1810 North Alvarado Street, 1810 North Alvarado Street, Los Angeles, California. I'm standing at my leasing office door, and this building right here is building apartment.
Starbucks in the state of
Sorry, that building is apartment 1810. That's the most precise address with regard to the direction that I'm facing, the time of day, as long as the sun has been there, arriving at around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It is 4:20. The entity is always rising and setting the sun as I'm documenting, just like I document in Ontario, where the entity is gang stalking as a population in the unintelligent and unsophisticated manners, as you can see the unemployed at Woodside Senior Apartments engaging in, okay? Gang stalking with like LAPD is doing on this day.
For the same intersection. It's over me at Starbucks at 7:50 in the morning. It's over me at the parking lot across the street from Starbucks at the Stater Brothers grocery store at 4:18 in the afternoon. That's capturing the pattern of conduct. That's a demon who's engaging what is obsessed stalking, a psychopath who's threatening and targeting somebody else while she wants to outwardly appear as though she's just emptying her trash. And she does that a lot. I want you to understand that's a psychopath, and that's operating over a minor child. That's the psychopathic conduct. That's the behavioral pattern. That's a psychopath that wants to look like they're doing something else while their shadows moving across the wall. They're entirely focused on you. That's the demon-possessed population, and it's operating over those under the age of majority. You're removing the minor children from here. You may not be able to save their souls, but you're going to prosecute for the criminal system that they're engaging in, and that's what the federal government's going to be concerned with. It is currently 4:24 p.m. That's the ongoing evidence against Susana Martinez and all those minor children. She's going to federal prison for that, and she's also the minors are also going to be prosecuted as group stalkers themselves. As you see, they're perfectly capable and fully knowledgeable of what they're engaging in and where they're doing it and with who they're doing it. All right, with whom they are doing it. It's currently 4:25 p.m. This is P.O.C.
All right, I want you to see again one more time what LAPD is doing.
This is LAPD where you're seeing that impossible light activity in my office. This is LAPD that's flying over that demonic light that you see in my office. These are demons flying a helicopter under the light source that's over me. All right, at 1810 North.
All right, at 1810 North Alvarado Street, and as you can see, they are flying right under the fake sun that's hovering, and they are not set ablaze. They're not set on fire. And this is the same apartment building where the entity has the fake sun, where LAPD is doing the same thing in the morning, like I'm documenting on a daily basis at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles. The entity that is so obviously engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring at this juncture in the evidence is the entity that belongs in the prisons and the mental asylums where the people of the state are going. The prosecution of the government itself that's gang stalking directly is going to also be comprehensively prosecuted, such as those that engage in kidnapping, like the Ontario Police Department, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, and those like Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks, and all those engaging in the ways in which I've been subject to multiple kidnappings while this entity has been gang stalking me for years, seeking to obstruct justice, seeking to defame my character while I've been documenting, and sought to jump in front of me, if you will, jump ahead of me by gang stalking me and trying to defame, render illegitimate all of my evidence regarding what the entity has been doing my entire life. Okay, it is currently 4:45 p.m. on Saturday, April 19th, 2025, and this is P.O.C. at Woodside Senior Apartments in Ontario, California.